Let's get to Novo Nordisk, down once again today, seeing its worst month since July of 2002, down more than 23% in March. Analysts at Bank of America warning of an earnings miss this quarter, thanks to, quote, sluggish Ozempic and Wegovy trends and worse FX. They also expect a cut to guidance, but our next guest still sees the injectable obesity space as a two-player market. Mizuho Securities' Jared Holz joins us now. Jared, great to have you with us. Just because it's a two-player race in obesity doesn't necessarily mean that the stock goes higher. I mean, or is it just completely washed out right now?
Hey, Melissa, thank you so much for having me. It's so washed out. I mean, a lot of it's going to come down to the numbers for the quarter coming up, as you know, these other analysts are alluding to, you know, how much a guidance cut actually takes place. I'm not expecting a major one. Maybe there's a modest one on FX, and you know, some of the trends are coming in light. But I think, you know, based on what we've seen earlier this year and much of last year, the fate of Novo is as much the competitive landscape as it is itself. And we'll see what happens with this oral data from Lilly in a couple weeks, or, you know, up to a couple months.
It's interesting because just this week alone, Jared, Novo has made a couple of deals for a small payment up front on various obesity, metabolic disease sort of drugs. The latest one being today with Lexicon, the other one earlier this week with the Chinese pharma company. It hasn't moved the needle. So what do you think Novo has to do to change the narrative about its pipeline? They had their annual general meeting, and apparently the CEO didn't do enough to change investors' minds.
Yeah, it just seems like the company has been a little bit too late in terms of aggregating assets that investors believe are significant enough. I mean, we talked about this last time, and we've discussed it so many times over the past year. You know, the stock was, you know, more than a double from here last summer. And at that point, you know, that was the time in which the company should have been looking for assets when things were going really well. And in pharma, you know, the street is often unkind. And I think it's basically voting now and saying that they believe, investors believe, this is too little too late, and these deals are defensive, and now they're behind. And we'll see. I mean, it's going to come down to the data that these two deals that you mentioned, you know, what the data look like individually, and then what the competitive landscape looks like over the next couple of quarters.
Jared, it's Karen. So in this two-horse race, do you think, you know, Lilly has had a bit of a pullback as well, which maybe was up too much, or maybe are people too excited about, you know, the booming growth of the GLP-1s? I know they've had, you know, they're getting the lion's share by a lot. Do you think that any of that overall big picture weight on GLP-1s is also weighing on Novo, or is it all idiosyncratic? Novo, you're behind and you're getting further behind.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the category has lost a little bit of the halo it had for the better part of the last 2 years, just based on pricing, the IRA, drug exclusivity and generics coming before the end of the decade, the competitive landscape with so many companies vying for position here. That being said, and some of it is obviously, you know, company specific too, with some of the failures it's had along its pathway from an oral obesity standpoint. But just looking out, I still do believe that, you know, we'll be sitting here in a couple of years, and these will be the two dominant players in obesity, especially in injectables. Just don't think many companies can afford to be in the market.